Steph Curry, at this point in his career, is already acknowledged by pretty much everyone as the greatest shooter in the history of basketball. But what is it that makes him such a great shooter, and why is it that he could possibly be playing the best basketball of his life right now? Hey guys, it's Jackstown and welcome back to another video. So for today's video, we're going to be talking about all things Steph Curry, such as how he got to this point in his career and why this season he's having right now might just be the best one he's had yet. So real quick, if you guys love sports and you want to see more videos like this in the future, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and let me know your input in the comments below. So without further ado, let's dive into Steph, the chef, Curry. Now, most of us basketball fans already know how Steph Curry became famous in the first place. He was the clear standout player of a small school in his home state of North Carolina called Davidson. Although he played 3 seasons at Davidson and averaged over 25 points per game in his collegiate career, the highlight of his college career was leading the number 10 seeded Wildcats to the Elite 8 during March Madness in his sophomore season. This is when scouts really started to see the potential in the slightly poorly built 6'3" point guard. The fact that Curry showed how limitless his range was from downtown and how exceptional he was at creating shots using a quick release that pretty much negated the need for any space should have mostly outweighed the fact that he looked like he spent little to no time in the weight room. Despite already being such a lethal shooter and scorer coming out of college, many front offices apparently were still not convinced, as he fell all the way down to the 7th pick in the 2009 NBA draft after being a projected top 5 pick in many mock drafts. He was taken as the 4th point guard in the draft, behind the likes of Tyreke Evans, Ricky Rubio, and Johnny Flynn. In his first 3 seasons, Curry played well, as he averaged over 17 points per game in his first 3 seasons. Maybe not meeting his incredibly high expectations, but still very solid. However, the Warriors were still not even close to a playoff team, and that 3rd year in particular was Curry's worst to date, as his points per game that season only hovered around 14, not to mention he also missed 56 games due to injury. And to make matters even worse, towards the end of his 3rd season, the Warriors traded leading scorer Monte Ellis to the Milwaukee Bucks, which upset a lot of Warriors fans at the time because most thought Ellis was their best player then and possibly deserved to be more untradeable than Curry, who hadn't exactly taken the world by storm. Long story short, Curry's stock was down at the time, while at the same time having more pressure on him to be the Warriors' undisputed franchise player, and the Warriors were likely further away from playoff contention as ever. But in his 4th season, everything changed. Apparently motivated to prove that the front office made the right choice by keeping him over Ellis, Steph absolutely blossomed in the 2012 to 2013 season, as his points per game skyrocketed to a terrific 23 points per game. Also, he went from making around 2 3-pointers per game in his first 3 years to making an incredible 3.5 threes per game in year 4. And most importantly, Curry was fully healthy, as he played in 78 out of 82 games. The season he had was highlighted by many jaw-dropping shooting performances, including the game that many believe to have been his coming out party when he dropped 54 points, including making 11 out of 13 threes in Madison Square Garden against the Knicks on national TV in the world's most famous arena. Who even cares that they lost? Curry was also able to establish a great team core involving himself, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. The best part of the season Curry had was that it translated to wins. The Warriors won 47 games and made the playoffs for the first time in 6 years. And similar to their previous playoff appearance in 2007, they pulled off a first-round upset of the number 3 seeded Denver Nuggets and got to the semifinals in their first playoff run with this new young core. Even though I feel like Curry was absolutely robbed of an all-star appearance and maybe the most improved player of the year award, he still had established himself as a true star considering the numbers he put up and the winning impact he provided. The next season confirmed that the past year wasn't a fluke, as Curry put up similar numbers and the Warriors once again made the playoffs. However, they weren't able to get a higher seed than the year before, as they were once again a 6th seed. But this time they actually couldn't go as far as the year before, as they lost in 7 games in the first round to the Lob City Clippers. That offseason, the big change the Warriors made was firing head coach Mark Jackson to bring in Steve Kerr, which seemed a little unfair to Jackson, who was liked by the players a lot, and despite maybe taking a little step back from the year before, he still helped elevate Curry to star status. Despite year 5 not being much better than year 4, at least Curry was finally an all-star that year. In year 6, Steve Kerr proved to be the perfect hire, as Steph Curry and the Warriors instantly jumped from the 6th seed to the 1st seed, and as you guys know, went on to win their first of 3 titles in a span of 4 years. Curry's numbers didn't change much this year, but his leadership and continuous lights-out shooting displays showed the NBA world that a shooting team could in fact win titles. And the fact that Curry could be the best player on a championship team made people give him the respect he deserved. I think 2 things happened after this season. First, Curry was now viewed by many as the greatest shooter ever, and now viewed as one of the players in contention as the best player in the league. The MVP trophy he took home that year was just validation. This all brings us to his 7th season. The season Steph had this year was beyond words. In the 2015-16 season, Steph Curry was unstoppable. He averaged over 30 points per game and, more importantly, over 5 threes made per game, en route to not only his second MVP in a row, but a unanimous MVP, the first ever, and leading his team to a record 73 wins. Curry was in full God mode at this point, now a true worldwide figure. They may have blown a 3-1 lead in the finals to LeBron's Cavs, but what Curry did that year was legendary. And according to Skip Bayless, who for some of you is not really much validation, but that was, according to him, the best individual year he had ever seen.
Steph Curry is now in the midst of having the greatest single season any player has ever had.
The next 3 years, Curry was an unquestioned superstar with point averages in the mid-20s, but he did have to take somewhat of a backseat to Kevin Durant, who infamously joined forces with the already dynastic Warriors. So although they continued to win at historic rates, Curry individually wasn't the same as he was statistically in 2016. Last year, once Durant left, Curry was once again viewed as the undisputed best player on the team. Not to mention, he was still only 31 years old heading into last season. This laid out the perfect path for him to repeat the monster numbers he put up in 2016, since that was the last time he was the true #1 option. But as most of you know, he missed nearly the entire season with a broken hand that he suffered in the 4th game of the season. Now, usually broken hands don't keep you out as long as it kept Curry out, but since Klay Thompson already tore his ACL in the finals the year before and was already ruled out for the year, and the Warriors were already way out of playoff contention by the middle of the season, Steph decided to sit out an extra length of time and let his hand fully heal. He also had an extended offseason due to COVID delaying the start of this season and the Warriors not making it to the bubble for the playoffs. Now, everything I've told you so far brings us to this season. Unlike the previous several years, the Warriors didn't enter this season with championship expectations, mainly because in November, Klay Thompson once again suffered a devastating season-ending injury, this time a torn Achilles while doing an off-season workout in Los Angeles. So without his fellow Splash brother, obviously no more Kevin Durant, coming off missing an entire season himself and now 32 years of age, which is usually the start of a post-prime athlete, there was good reason to believe that we probably wouldn't ever see that 2016 unanimous MVP baby-faced assassin that we once saw. The first 2 games of this season saw Curry total 20 and 19 points in those games respectively, and he shot 2 for 10 from 3-point range in each of those games. And yeah, they lost both games. Some of the doubters may have felt that this was confirmation that Curry wasn't the same player as he once was, or was it just rust from missing all that time? We needed a much bigger sample size to find out. Then, 2 days later on December 27th, something crazy happened. A video released of Steph Curry making 105 consecutive threes during practice. This blew pretty much everyone away that a human being could be capable of even doing this. Even Curry, who practices his shooting craft as much as anyone, still surprised everyone when he showed how much of a zone he could get in. So could this crazy shooting display he put in practice break him out of his mini 2-game slump and prove to people that he hasn't fallen off? The short answer? Yes. His first game since his 105 consecutive threes was a 36-point performance against the Bulls in a win. And just 2 games later against the Blazers on January 3rd, Curry exploded for a career-high 62 points with 8 3-pointers made. Curry was officially back. But then we move on to this month, February. This month, in my opinion, has changed the headline from Steph Curry is still very elite to Steph Curry might be playing the best basketball he's ever played. On February 2nd, before a narrow loss to the Celtics where he still had 38 points, Curry was asked in the press conference if he felt the Warriors were in a good spot to compete for future titles. Curry responded with, quote, "Right now, who's to say we can't put pieces together? I'm in the middle of my prime and thinking about all the things that we've gone through over the last 4 or 5 years that we can build on." This was a surprising statement because even though Curry had played well, there was still doubt that his best days weren't behind him. Then just 5 days later, Curry backed this statement up when he scored 57 points with 11 threes, albeit in a loss to the Mavericks. After the game, Coach Steve Kerr had this to say about Steph, quote, "He's never played better. We're talking about a 2-time MVP, 3-time champion. I've never seen him like this. He just looks so strong to me. He's obviously always been an incredible shooter, but he looks stronger to me, just getting by people, fending off on drives to the rim, finish, and of course the shot making. It's almost unfathomable what he's doing out there." After this performance and Steve Kerr's take, it looked like Curry might actually be playing some of the best basketball of his life. And up to this point in the month of February, Curry's been averaging an insane 36.3 points per game and 6 threes made per game. This has brought his season averages up noticeably, and if you do a side-by-side comparison of his numbers this year with his numbers in 2016, they're almost identical. I haven't mentioned this so far, but in my opinion, what makes Curry the greatest shooter to ever live is the fact that not only does he make the most threes, but he also makes them at an incredible percentage, as he shot over 40% from deep in every season in which he's played more than 50 games, which is every season other than last season, for a career average of 43.5%, which is 5th all time. But the 4 people ahead of him, including his own coach, Steve Kerr, didn't even attempt nearly as many threes as Curry has. This season in the efficiency department has been more of the same, as Curry has shot 43.6% from deep, right around his career average. And about this season, some can even argue that it is in fact his most impressive to date because of the possible lack of motivation compared to the previous years, since the Warriors are unlikely to win a championship, and he still put up the same numbers, maybe even knowing that it wouldn't translate to as many wins as it did in 2016. So I showed you all this to let you know that even though Curry may not ever win another unanimous MVP, or maybe even MVP for that matter, don't be mistaken by the fact that he's still absolutely balling right now, and in my opinion has not dropped off even a little bit. And as he's less than 1 month away from his 33rd birthday, the prime Curry, the baby-faced assassin that teams feared so much, is still right at his best. So enjoy the ride, because when players' legacies are thought of, the best years are remembered the most. And Curry is still writing his amazing legacy, since his best years include the present moment that we are in and we are currently witnessing. Leave it to Steph Curry to prove the doubters wrong like he's done so many times in the past. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, like I said before, make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe if you love sports, comedy, and video games as well, because we do all that stuff here on the channel. And yeah, comment, let me know your opinion, your input, like I said before as well. Thanks again, guys, for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later.